"I need space from this marriage," she said. So I said, "Pack fast, it starts tonight." She said it so calmly, like she'd been rehearsing it. We were sitting at the dinner table, the food untouched, the candles burning low. She looked up from her plate, eyes steady, hands folded. "I need space from this marriage," she said. It was almost polite, almost merciful. But the words didn't hit like a request. They landed like a verdict. I watched her, every blink, every twitch of her fingers. There was no hesitation, no guilt, just freedom. That was when I knew. This wasn't about space. It was about someone else. I didn't ask who. I didn't need to. The silence stretched, heavy and strange. I could hear the clock ticking behind me, like it was counting down something inevitable. She waited for me to break, to shout, to ask why. But I didn't. I just stared at her, and for the first time, I saw the stranger I'd been sleeping beside for years. "All right," I said quietly. She blinked, surprised by how easily I accepted it. "When do you need this space?" She hesitated. "Soon." I smiled, slow, deliberate. "Then pack fast," I whispered. "It starts tonight." The way her fork froze halfway to her mouth, that was the moment she realized something had already shifted. The game had just begun. It didn't start tonight. It started weeks ago. The distance, the late work hours, the showers at odd times. The phone flipped face down on the counter every single time. You tell yourself it's stress. You tell yourself you're paranoid. But paranoia doesn't smell like unfamiliar cologne. The first time I noticed, she was humming while texting. She never hums. The second time, she called me by the wrong name. His name, I would later find out. But I didn't react, not then. I've learned that when people lie, they want your reaction more than your question. The noise gives them cover. Silence? Silence exposes them. So I gave her silence. I let her feel safe inside the lie. The late nights continued. The work trips got longer. And the guilt, if there was any, hid behind perfectly applied lipstick and a colder kind of smile. I played my part, the patient husband, the understanding one, because I wasn't ready to lose, not yet. I began keeping notes, times, calls, locations. I noticed how she flinched when her phone buzzed, how her good morning kisses stopped tasting like anything real. She had built her fantasy. I was just the ghost haunting the house she no longer wanted. But ghosts don't vanish. They wait. And I was waiting for proof, not just suspicion. Because when I moved, I'd make sure she'd never forget it. I started with her phone. Not breaking in, that's crude. I waited until she was in the shower and her Bluetooth connected to the home speaker by accident. Her playlist didn't start. A voice message did. A man's voice. Low, confident, familiar in a way that made my skin crawl. "Miss you already," he said. Then silence. I remember the water running, her voice singing faintly behind the bathroom door. I stood there, phone in hand, listening to the proof echoing through my living room. I didn't delete it. I transferred it to mine. Next, the receipts. Small things, coffee shops, 2 drinks instead of 1, a hotel charge that didn't match her conference. It wasn't about catching her in the act. It was about knowing. I found his name 3 days later. A coworker, married, 2 kids, the perfect accomplice. That night, she came home late again. She smelled of rain and guilt. "How was your meeting?" I asked. She smiled, tired, exhausting. Her eyes darted to her phone. His message lit up the screen. "Can't stop thinking about you." I didn't say a word. I just reached across the table, brushed her hand gently, and said, "You deserve some rest." Because I already knew her rest was about to end. It took 1 week to set everything in motion. I hired a private investigator, quiet, efficient, and invisible. I didn't tell him much, just enough. The photos arrived 2 days later, her and him, holding hands, laughing, checking into a hotel. She wore the same earrings I'd given her on our anniversary. I looked at those pictures for a long time. Not with rage, with clarity. It's strange, when you finally have proof, the pain turns to something cold, something almost clean. That night she came home early. Her voice was lighter, her eyes brighter, like the guilt had finally settled comfortably inside her. She made dinner, talked about random things, work, weather, us. Then she looked up. "You've been distant lately." I almost laughed. "Just tired," I said. She reached across the table. "Maybe we both need a break, space, to think." There it was, the line she'd rehearsed. So I nodded slowly. "All right," I said, "if that's what you want." She smiled, relieved, maybe even excited. And I watched her walk away from the table, thinking she had won. But she didn't see what I slid into her purse that night, a single envelope. Inside it, a photo, her and him, and a note, "Space starts tonight." She found the envelope the next morning. I heard the gasp from the bedroom. Then silence. When she walked into the kitchen, her face was pale, her hands trembled. Where did you get these?" I didn't look up from my coffee. "Does it matter?" She opened her mouth. No words came out, just air and fear. "I just needed space," she whispered. "Then take it," I said softly. "The car's outside, your bags are ready." She blinked, confused, looked toward the door, 2 suitcases. Packed. Her things. "You packed my stuff?" "Yes." Her lip quivered. "You can't just—" "I can." She stepped closer. "Please, I can explain." "No," I interrupted. Calm, detached. "You can't explain loyalty. Either you have it, or you don't." The silence that followed was surgical, precise. Tears started to fall. But they weren't for me. They were for the comfort she'd lost, the life she'd gambled away. I stood, walked past her, opened the door. "Your space is waiting." She hesitated at the threshold. "Are you really just letting me go?" I met her eyes, calm, steady, final. "I'm not letting you go," I said. "I'm setting you free." And I closed the door. The house was quiet, too quiet, the kind that hums in your ears when there's nothing left to hold on to. I sat on the couch, same spot, same view. But it felt different, lighter in a way. Her perfume still lingered in the air, a fading ghost of something that once meant warmth. People say revenge feels sweet. It doesn't. It feels resolved. I poured myself a drink, looked at the framed photo on the shelf, the 2 of us smiling in better days. Then I turned it face down. I didn't need reminders. I needed peace. Somewhere out there, she was probably still crying, still trying to figure out how everything crumbled so fast. But that's the thing about lies. They collapse quietly until the moment they don't. I finished my drink, stood up, and looked at the framed photo on the shelf, the 2 of us smiling in better days. Then I turned it face down. I didn't need reminders. I needed peace. Somewhere out there, she was probably still crying, still trying to figure out how everything crumbled so fast. But that's the thing about lies. They collapse quietly until the moment they don't. I finished my drink, stood up, and looked out the window. The world didn't change. Only I did. I learned that love can survive betrayal, but respect can't. And when respect dies, the marriage dies long before the words, "I need space," ever leave their mouth. I walked to the bedroom, turned off the lights, and whispered to the empty air, "Space granted." Then closed my eyes. And for the first time in a long time, I slept peacefully.